One of the questions I get asked all the time is how do you stay positive, optimistic, and energetic working in sustainability? Because it's not easy. And honestly, it's a fair question because we spend a lot of time here talking about leadership, right? How we make decisions, how we navigate ambiguity, and how we drive change. But we haven't really touched on the systems that are behind the people who are actually doing the work. Because often we're holding a lot of complexity and uncertainty over long time horizons where there's often a huge gap between what we know needs to happen and how we actually get there. And there's a weight to that. And over time, that weight compounds. Many sustainability leaders I speak to are tired, not because they don't care, but because they care deeply. Navigating complexity, responding to shifting narratives, trying to prove commercial value, often in environments where they feel isolated or they're misunderstood for long periods of time. They're having to re-explain, reframe, rebuild the case over and over again. If this is what it feels like for you, you're not imagining it. What I've realized is that sustainability isn't just about sustaining systems. It's about sustaining yourself while trying to change them, because if you don't, your clarity drops, your decisions suffer, and over time, your ability to lead really gets compromised. We spend a lot of time talking about operating models for organizations, but no time at all thinking about our own operating system. So I'm pulling together what I'm calling the Human Operating System Upgrade, not just for balance, but for performance, so that we can think more clearly, make better decisions, and lead consistently in complex environments. I came across a framework a few years ago that's been really helpful in thinking about this. It's called SPIRE. S for spiritual, P for physical, I for intellectual, R for relational, and E for emotional. It's not perfect, but it's one of those frameworks that's worked really well for me. So let's dive into it. S is for spiritual, which for me is really around strategic recalibration, which means how do you cut through the noise and distortion and continue to have clarity on why we're doing this work and why it's important, even when external narratives swing. My thinking here is influenced by yoga philosophy, this idea of chitta vritti, which is the mental noise and chatter that distorts what we see, because our mind doesn't just observe reality, it interprets it through things like fear, ego, attachment, avoidance. And sometimes if you're not aware of these distortions that are skewing your interpretation, then it's very easy for you to be taken off course without even realizing it. For me, meditation isn't just about switching off. It's about seeing clearly and peeling back those layers to really focus on what matters, because often there's so much coming at you from opinions and pressure and urgency. And if you're too busy reacting to everything, then you lose direction. So for me, this pillar is really around creating the space to reconnect with your purpose and your direction, and to see if those two things are actually aligned. Sometimes it's meditation, sometimes it's just taking a beat or being out in nature where you have space but no inputs. Even 10 minutes can make such a big difference in how you see things. From a leadership perspective, this is what enables you to lead with more intention and less reaction, because more clarity doesn't come with more information. It comes with less distortion. P is for physical, and how I see this is energy equals executive capacity. And this is a huge one for me because I have a very active brain and sometimes I need to get out of it. Movement for me isn't just about fitness. It's about regulation and resetting your nervous system. And that difference is huge because an activated nervous system means you are feeling rushed and scattered and often easily triggered, whereas a much more grounded state means you are calm, you're clear, you're intentional and directive. And that directly impacts how you show up and lead. For me, it comes down to movement, sleep, how I fuel my body, and how I give my system space to reset. Because if your nervous system is fried, your thinking degrades, your decision-making degrades, and your leadership degrades. Your energy is actually your executive capacity, not time. Your energy determines the quality of your thinking. So whether it's going to the gym or playing a bit of tennis or taking your dog outside for a walk in nature, and enjoying the sun, or even just stepping away from your screen for a few moments, the activity actually matters less than the reset itself. So you can even do something like box breathing, where you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and repeat. It's a proven technique to really help stay calm and focused during stressful situations. So even a few minutes could really improve your state. And the basics matter. Sleep is everything. The best way to prepare for a big day, for me personally, is making sure I get a good night's sleep the night before, because you always know more than you think, but you need to be well rested to be able to access that knowledge. And then the other thing, the daily habits that make more of a difference than we'd like to admit, like healthy hydration, coffees and Diet Cokes don't count, and making sure that you eat well and don't skip lunch. These are things that are not just about discipline, but about protecting and cultivating the energy you need to lead effectively in a role where you have immense responsibility. I is for intellectual. So this is about curating inputs to shape better outputs, because the quality of your thinking is shaped by what you expose yourself to. I like to go far beyond sustainability into geopolitics, economics, technology, science, history, philosophy, because these are the areas where patterns are a lot clearer. I give myself time to go down YouTube rabbit holes. I love following Johnny Harris, Cleo Abrams, who open up completely new perspectives for me. I'm also reading, like right now I'm reading The Octopus Organization, signed copy by Phil and Yana. And it's making me think, like, are sustainability leaders the octopus agents within these organizations? And I learn a lot from people and get inspired by people who are operating at the highest level in their craft. Athletes, musicians, artists, because you really see the discipline and consistency and commitment behind it, and the passion that really drives them forward. And there's a lot of parallels with sustainability. The biggest shift for me has been realizing that the thinking doesn't happen when I'm consuming. It's when I have dedicated time to really process. That's when strategy starts to form. And for me, that's often in the form of long walks where I'm connecting the dots and asking myself questions. What's the pattern here? What's the underlying driver? And how is this actually going to change or make an impact? Insight is just pattern recognition over time. And from a leadership perspective, it's what enables you to see around the corners and make better decisions. R is for relational. And this is where your relationships are your support system. In sustainability, we often talk about strategy, but really it's a movement, and movements are built by people. So this is about the relationships that help support you and enable you to stay in the work and do it well. Because the people around you shape how you experience the work. Your broader ecosystem, the people you collaborate with, the people you build with, the people you exchange ideas with. There are also the relationships that sustain you. Your friends, your family, the people who give you energy, who support you, who challenge you. And it's about making sure that they don't just get what's left of you, but they also get the best of you. Investing in those relationships are important because it's not just support, but also leverage. We all have those people where we call when we're trying to shape something, or we need a perspective we can trust, or for someone to advocate for you when you're not in the room. In this field, often your peers are your biggest sponsors. We all have limited time and bandwidth and energy. So one of the things I use to filter is, asking myself if this relationship energizes me or if it drains me. And sometimes if it's not a holy hell yes, it's a no, and that's okay. I've also learned that not all relationships require the same level of investment when it comes to time and energy. Some of them are easy, where you see them on the conference track, you're always happy to catch up and exchange a few thoughts and ideas, what's been happening. Some are deeper, where you require investment in time and intentional regular syncs, because you might be shaping each other's thinking on something that's very topical and current. And then some connections are just pure energy. They show up, they support you, and they always add to the vibe. Being intentional about that really helps you protect your energy and your time. And honestly, a big part of it for me is being able to work with people I actually enjoy. and have that sense of teamwork, and ideally where we can laugh a lot, because we all need a bit of that, especially in a field where things can feel very heavy. That doesn't mean every relationship needs to give you energy all the time. Sometimes I'm holding space or supporting others or lifting the energy, but it just can't come at the expense of your ability to show up for yourself. It's the whole put on your own oxygen mask before you help others. Finally, that leads me to your relationship with yourself. And as an introvert, this is a non-negotiable for me, because this is the time that I need to reflect, to process, and to create. It's where clarity comes from. From a leadership perspective, your support system directly impacts how you show up and lead. And that includes yourself, especially in a space like this where you're not meant to do it alone. E is for emotional, where stability is a strategic advantage. This one is everything, because sometimes this work can feel very heavy. Urgency, pressure, expectations that don't quite match reality. And stability isn't suppressing how you're feeling, but staying grounded while you feel it, if that makes sense. There are 3 things that have really helped me. The first one is reframing intensity. So folks who know me have probably heard me say, honey, we don't work in ER, we work in PR. Even though the work matters, in the moment, it's not life or death. And sometimes that little simple reframe can help take the edge off and bring us back to clear thinking. The second thought is zooming out. This is legacy work. This is generational work. We're future building. Impact is not going to be measured in quarters, but in time spans that go far beyond our lifetime. And so I like to remind myself that I'm not here to solve everything. I'm here to move things forward. And third is having purpose outside of work. I think when you are working in sustainability, your personal purpose and your professional purpose are so intertwined that it's very easy to overextend yourself. And when you don't have purpose beyond work, that's where burnout is quick to follow. And so it's super important to find hobbies, passions, interests, connections, communities outside your day-to-day that help you become a more well-rounded and resilient person. It's okay to feel these emotions of frustration, of helplessness, of restlessness, and sometimes even despair. I think the main thing is to not get stuck in it and letting those emotions pass through without affecting how you show up and lead. Emotional stability is a strategic advantage because it helps you stay grounded under pressure to make better decisions and to not get pulled into so many different directions. Remember, sustainability is a marathon and not a sprint. And the more stable you are, the more you're able to show up and stay consistent in this work and be in it for the long game. So bringing it all together, for me, the SPIRE framework is really helping me understand that it's not about doing more, but recognizing what I need to stay grounded, to stay consistent, and to be effective. To recognize when to step back, when to reset, when to push, and when to just let things be, because the work will always be there. I think the biggest shift for me is really seeing this work as not a task to complete. I think sometimes when we have these 2030, 2040 targets, it feels like they're very personal, but this is a space to contribute to. This is about moving from ownership to stewardship. I'm not here to solve for everything, but I'm here to move things forward to the best of my ability as far as I can. Because sustainability isn't just about sustaining systems, it's about sustaining the people who are trying to change them. SPIRE isn't about optimization, it's about building a system that enables you to keep showing up in a space that's demanding, complex, and constantly evolving. The future isn't built in a moment, it's built by people who consistently show up for it, and we need everyone on board. Thanks for watching another episode of Futureproofed. I hope that was helpful. For me, I'm personally at a season of my life where I have a little bit more autonomy over my time and where I spend it. And by no means am I perfect, although I do think that the SPIRE framework is really useful to do that quick assessment to understand where you're spending your time and energy today and where you might need to be a little bit more intentional to balance it out. The other thing I would say is having a little animal also makes the biggest difference. It's one of the most healing things. This is Brie, and honestly, she makes my life so much better and puts into perspective the more urgent and immediate needs in comparison to that long horizon existential work that we do called sustainability. So as always, if you are building, shaping, questioning, or navigating the future in any way, we'd love for you to be here. Time for walkies?